Good morning, everybody. This is Van Hargis with Van Hargis Horsemanship. As we've already been over to the ranch, but we're going to head into Cuero, Texas today to visit some of our great friends at Full of Pep Feeds. And that's the great company that puts all of our feed products together. I can't emphasize enough how important that is for our program, is to have an absolutely wonderful, balanced feed program. And we're so grateful that Full of Pep is as good as they are at what they do, and that they're also so very close. And the bonus, the icing on the cake, is that they're all just really good, great people. So if you're in the South Texas region, if you ever get a chance to visit with a Full of Pep dealer, or in Cuero and you get a chance to visit the Full of Pep mill, please stop in and say hello to them, and just tell them that Van Hargis of the Ranch Road and Van Hargis Horsemanship sent you. But today, since we're over there visiting with those folks, or going to be visiting with those folks, I want to talk to you about something that I read this morning in regard to the word discipline. Discipline is extremely important in our personal lives. It's also extremely important in our lives with our horsemanship. And it's also important for us to stay focused on discipline when we're involved with our horses. I guess we could just refer that to as your horsemanship aspect of that. But nonetheless, discipline oftentimes is referred to as a bad word. You know, we tend to think of, oh goodness, I'm going to have to discipline my horse, or others around us think that sometimes if we're disciplining them, then we're being critical of them. And quite frankly, it's right the opposite. We don't discipline those that we don't care about. We don't discipline ourselves when we don't really care about what's kind of going on in our lives. But sometimes, in order to think of discipline in a more positive way, maybe we could think of it as something that is really caring, number one. And number two, maybe it's just something that helps us achieve more tasks. For example, if we're disciplined, as a disciplined person, we're a focused person. So perhaps another really good word for discipline in this case is focus. So whenever our horses are not focused, they're not disciplined, and as a result, they're not achieving that of which we're asking them to achieve. For example, let's just say you're riding your horse out and they tend to be a little bit spooky, or they tend to be a little bit worried about where their buddies are. In both of those situations, a horse can only really be spooky if they're not disciplined and if they're not focused on the task at hand. When they're more concerned about achieving the task at hand, in this case, just pleasing you and doing what we're asking them to do, they don't have time to look around and observe all the potentially spooky things that are out there. Now, granted, we may walk up on a covey of quail, or walk up on a deer or something like that sleeping in the grass. Those very quick and sudden movements, those would basically distract anybody off their immediate focus. So that's not necessarily what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is that horse that is kind of chronically worried about his buddies, or he's chronically worried about all the potentially spooky things that may be along the trail in which we're riding. And an only way the horse can be chronically concerned and worried about other tasks is that he's not focused on the task at hand. That same thing applies to us, doesn't it? So whenever we think of ourselves as undisciplined, what we really need to think of ourselves is unfocused. And as a result of that, maybe we should just practice focus more. And it's not that difficult to do. It's difficult sometimes to start the process. But whenever we find ourselves being distracted, whenever we find ourselves being unfocused, then what we really need to do at that point is just remind ourselves to stay focused at hand. Just stay focused. And there's all sorts of reminders around us. It kind of goes hand in hand with the title of our podcast and the title of our programs, which is Ride Every Stride. When you ride every stride, you're very much aware and you're in the moment of what's going on right now with every step that we take and every process that we do. And as a result, you're very focused. So remember, another good word for discipline is focus. Hope you guys have a focused day today. And until next time, this is Van Hargis with Van Hargis Horsemanship. And thank you for joining me on the Ranch Road.